Okay, thank you for clicking on my tab, Final Salute Veterans. The purpose of this tab is to make a final salute to the veterans, the ones that have passed on in my family, and also possibly friends of mine that have passed on. Just thinking about a few now. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it. It's still under construction. But I want you to know, and I want you to click back on this, because the intent of this is to have a final salute for the veterans. Now, what we did for my dad's funeral is we had Amazing Grace as a ceremony being played as we come in to view the coffin before the burial. And I'm going to do that. We're going to play Amazing Grace on bagpipes. He was Irish. Buggy's an Irish name. It means from the bog in Ireland. Okay, so that's what we're going to play, Amazing Grace. And I'm going to have a slideshow of pictures there. And a lot of the pictures will be my family, and probably some off the internet that I think are moving that need to be shown to give the idea of the sacrifices these men made and their wives and families. It wasn't just them. Okay, when that soldier was hurt, his wife maybe had to take care of him, or his family, his mother, his father. There was a burden placed on many loved ones. And all of us would do it for another in a nanosecond, right? Because we love them and it's family. And that's what's being crushed today, and that's what is important. And these men, I just want to say now, while I'm thinking of it, they had a strong faith in God, and that's why the Christian faith is being attacked today. And we have to bind together this election and vote from the heart, not from the head. The heart will guide you to the right choice of a person that's compassionate, has empathy, family values. We need those kind of people, okay? Just look at one's family and you can decide that. You know, you look at my family, my brothers and sisters, we're all similar. We have empathy. We was brought up that way to respect. You know, I have a wall here that I might have showed that it has a phone on, and you're to write on that wall. Okay, that's the price of admission, I say. That's all you have to do to come into this neat room. And you'll probably see this in a video or something. But my Aunt Pat wrote on there. She's died now. But when she wrote on it, she was in her late 80s, and she had a little bit of dementia and, you know, memory loss that we all have. Okay, when we get old, we blame it on that, but when we're young, we don't. You know, that's the only difference I see. You know, I've had a few memory losses at times. So, but anyway, she was bothered about signing that wall, and she asked my wife. You know, she said, "Is it okay to sign that wall?" Because my wife asked her to, and she said, "Yes." She said, "Look at everybody else here that signed." There was other signatures, not as many as there is now, but there was others, and she hesitated, and then she signed the wall, Aunt Pat, and I was glad she did, because I have my Aunt Pat's signature. Okay. I don't have my dad's. He passed away. Okay. A couple weeks later, she met my wife, and she said, "Was it still okay to sign that wall?" See, that was burned into her brain like a hard drive to respect other people's property. And that's what we're losing today completely, aren't we? That's what these men had. That's why they fought so hard in the war. They had a faith in God. We're taking that Christian faith, because if we take that faith, we can take hope. And we can take hope, we can create fear and control. And I think that's the intent today, and we've got to resist it. But we don't resist it with arms. This name of this site, don't let it mislead you. That name was chosen because I felt it represented the farmers that came to each other's aid in the Revolutionary War, the Minutemen they were called. And in the minute's notice they would come to each other's aid. That's what we need to do this election, come to each other's aid. And join together as Christians and vote accordingly, and vote the heart that tells you who to vote for this time. Don't vote the brain that tells you what's good for the country or whatever. Because what's good for the country is not greed and corruption. Okay? That is not good for the country. That only leads to hatred, vengeance, and that's what's bad. And that's the sword that God talked about, I think, that you're to lay down. It's greed, power is what causes it, and then what it causes is hate and vengeance. And hate and vengeance is a sword that keeps cutting, that you have to lay down. That's that forgiveness that God keeps talking about. And it's a hard one to lay down, isn't it? It's hard for me. I have to work on it, okay? But you have to lay it down and forgive, because I do. Because if you harbor hatred, then that's what you profess as hatred. That's what you become as hatred. That's what hatred promotes. See, you don't realize that in order to defeat hatred, you have to be as vengeance and as hateful as them. And when you are, you become them. And that's the key to this. And that's what God preaches about hate and vengeance. Lay it down And that's what Martin Luther King did. A big hero, every bit as big a hero as these war heroes that I'm going to talk about and have this video on. Anyway, and then we followed it with a 21 gun salute. Then we followed it with the taps. And I'm going to play the standard version of taps and not the echo version, probably. Not sure, but I'll decide. But when you hear it, you'll maybe know the difference. And the final salute, okay? And I'm going to have my old dress shirt. That's what I have, a Specialist 5 on it, okay? That rank isn't even around anymore. But I am classified a veteran, but I am not a combat veteran, okay? So I'm not in the same quite group as this, all right? But I was outstanding soldier four times, so I would have been a good soldier. Well, I think maybe I was a good soldier, but I just didn't get into combat. I come in during the tail end. I joined in September of '79, and September of '76 is when I was honorably discharged. Anyway, my nephew will be singing Danny Boy, and there'll be a slideshow of all family members that have passed on, okay? Some of the combat veterans that haven't passed on will not be in that final salute. They'll get in there when they pass on, okay? Because I'm trying to pay tribute. My Uncle Pete, who I loved dearly, like all my uncles, was denied his proper military burial. I understand from talking to one of my cousins that assisted him in the end. And I can remember him being airborne, that's for sure, because he come home when I was a little kid, about 3 or 4, and I can remember him sitting on a chair talking to my mother, his sister, with that beret on, I think it was purple and white. I don't know if that's what it was I remember from when I was in or him, but I remember it on him. And he had his boots spit shine, combat engineer boots, okay? And I knew that. I mean, I can remember that distinctly, because that just fascinated me, that you could see your face in them. And I was just a little kid, because my shoes, I never shined that good. So I showed that made me respect him. See, that's what we're talking about, respect. And that's what the military has with all these traditions that are being crushed today, and that belief in Christ and God. We need to get it back, okay? So that's what I intend to do, and I'm going to stop it there. Further the cause, if we get together and vote as Christians like we should, and don't abandon the faith and vote what your heart tells you, which is where your God speaks to you. He doesn't speak up here. He doesn't talk about material possessions. He doesn't talk about wants. He talks about love and forgiveness and helping other people every day, and that's what hope is. And that's what our government takes. When they take hope, they replace it with fear. And when they replace the hope and replace it with fear, that allows them to control us. Because what you fear, you listen to, and you avoid. So we avoid the confrontation. We avoid standing up for our rights. Stand up for them and put that oval in. And go where your heart tells you, where greed and corruption isn't prevalent. Because that's what we need to get rid of in this country today. Disappointed with the Republican Party the most, because I felt they always professed a strong Christian faith, and they've abandoned it, haven't they? They've abandoned it, and we need to pick it up and hold them accountable. Okay, this election. Remember that when you vote, okay? Now I'm going to stop there. I don't want to offend anybody, that's why I'm going to quit there. I just talked about the uncles that I know that was injured during the war and had issues with post-traumatic stress syndrome. Others may have. I want to know. We're going to try to do a final salute to respect them all and respect the veterans of this country. There'll be pictures of people off the internet that are very moving, that I'm going to try to show some of the wives that, suffer in silence and have what I call true grit. Because they were able to grin and get through the life and raise their children without a father. That's admirable, isn't it? And also helped and cared for those that came back handicapped and gave them a quality life with respect. That's important. And that's what we're losing today, and I want to get back. That's why I'm running for office, okay? Remember, we need people with true grit to be elected.